Morning, Raptor Freak, Alexiot's here. Hang on a sec. Forgot to do something. Good morning. Bad morning, actually. Monday morning, everybody's got to go to work and it's snowy and, they just had a bad game yesterday. Oh my gosh, Boston Celtics game. Really terrifying, awful things happening in this game. And let's just start with it. All right. I had good feelings about us, the Raptors, playing the Boston Celtics yesterday because of, different things. But, I truly underestimated our injuries and how bad they are. And then, excuse me, the first thing I saw when I turned on the game was I saw Scott Foster, and I was like, "Oh crap, we're gonna lose." Because when you see Scott Foster, there's an agenda with the NBA, and he's there for one reason only, and that's to make sure that Boston wins, guys. Like Boston is a team that the NBA protects, and they assign referees for certain games for certain reasons. And Scott Foster was there for a very specific reason. And he did it. He did exactly what I thought he would do right from the beginning of the game. I said, they're going to give him all the fouls, and we're not going to get any foul shots. We're not going to get any calls ourselves. And like a song that plays on the radio when you know the tune from before, it's like, this tune's familiar, and you see it. And the discrepancy of the free throw shots were really a big thing that was carrying Boston for a long time. Because if you look at it from the start of the game, we had two teams that are struggling with their offense, struggling with their shot, struggling to score points. So one of the ways the refs can manipulate the game is they can put one of the teams on the line so they get easier chances to score. And that's a momentum builder in its own if you can get to the line and shoot some free throws. And one of the sneaky things that refs do to get before teams are in the bonuses is whether they call it a shooting foul or on the floor. And if you notice, with Boston, almost all of their fouls that get called, even before the bonus, were all shooting fouls so that they get to go to the free throw line. Meanwhile, when we foul or we get fouled on the other end, it's always on the floor and we get it side out. That's a very subtle manipulation. It's very different. And it's a difference in how they call the calls. It's like, oh, this is on the floor. Oh, you get shots. And you could, there were other like egregious, things they did. Like Fred VanVleet he was shooting a three at the end of the half, and they whistled at the end of the half. There was a whistle because he got fouled on that shot. They did something stupid, Boston did, right at the end of the half, and fouled Fred at the 3-point line. And he should have they should have stopped, continued the half, and let Fred shoot 3 free throws at the end of the half. But they didn't do that. Scott Foster just waved it off because he could get away with this and say, no, it's halftime now, even though he got fouled. And he should have went and had 3 free throws at that point. And, there's different stuff. Like they were trying us from the start. Like that whole Utah challenge again. Once again, the challenge involved Utah. Was Nick Nurse going against them trying to call bad fouls against us. He said, no, that's not a blocking foul. He had his feet set. He was outside the restricted area. He wasn't moving. And if anything, and this is where that shows the bias also is, if this had been a reverse kind of thing and it had been changed around, they would have called an offensive foul on Jaylen Brown for that play. Like he should have there was a foul on that play. It was either on Utah or it was on him, and it was an offensive foul. So Jaylen Brown should have gotten a foul in that case. And it shouldn't have just been us getting the ball. They should have put a foul on Brown. And once again, they saddled Pascal with a bunch of fouls early in different ways, and it limited his game. And what happens when the refs call it so uneven like that is they hurt one other team's ability to go all out on defense. And that's really what we try to do right now. And they're saying after the game, Fred's saying that they've gone more back to calling the game more like they used to, with fouls and not letting them play so much. And that's tricky because it's not consistent. This is a word that Fred used a bunch in the press conference yesterday, is when he's talking to those referees like he was last night, he's asking for them to be consistent. That if he's going to call one thing at one end of the court, they need to call another thing at the other end of the court. And they were definitely not doing that last night. They were giving all kinds of breaks to Boston, and they weren't calling fouls on them, and they were calling fouls on us for the littlest stuff. And that's a huge thing, but I can't blame that for why we lost. That's something we just have to normally overcome. And it's not easy to overcome that, especially when you're a developing team and you don't exactly know what you're doing yet. And we really don't know what we're doing right now. Like, we don't know how to win games. We don't know how to turn on our defense and really shut people down. We don't know how to do a lot of stuff right now. And it sucks. It's tough. It's going to be a tough process to get back to being a regular team that does really well all the time, like we're used to most of the last 10 years. So the referees were absolutely a big part in what happened last night in helping the Celtics. They really did, because both teams were shooting horrible. Both teams weren't playing that well. If the refs had been propping us up instead, we would have won that game last night. But they propped them up, and they were. I knew they were going to do it. As soon as I saw Scott Foster, I was like, they're going to prop up the Celtics and they're going to help them try and win. And they did. They did. And then you couple in a Sunday afternoon, evening crowd of Toronto fans that are casual fans, not necessarily invested in it like I am, or some of the people that watch with me. Most of the people that are watching my stream are people that are very invested in the Raptors winning. When you have a team that's kind of in the middle, 500, and people don't necessarily know if they want to associate themselves with the team if they're losing. So they're very half-ass fans. They come in, they only cheer if they feel good and they're winning. And we really needed them to give them more energy in the second half of the game, that we were struggling to try and catch up to them. And we'd get close. We would tie the game. We'd get within 3 different times. That's when the fans should have been much louder, way louder, because we have no home court advantage right now. In fact, our home court is a disadvantage at this point in some ways to me, because the team isn't confident. The fans aren't confident in the team. And you can feel it in the arena. You can feel it in the arena. The fans need to just chant defense no matter what. If we'd had a more raucous building in there, instead of shutting up and letting Marcus Smart shut us up with 3-pointers, like that was, you are submissive fans. You're sitting there letting Marcus Smart quiet you with a 3-point shot. You're just sitting there, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. Oh no, oh no. You don't help the team when you do that. You need to be loud no matter what. And especially in key times when they're trying to surge back. I think I could only count 3 or 4 times last night. I could hear the fans yelling defense over the TV. And that was too few in between. That was not enough. The fans got to be loud the whole time. We missed out on our home court advantage last year. And this year, I don't feel like we have one. Just because we're in a development stage and the Toronto fans are fickle and they only get behind a winner. And I hate that about Toronto fans. They do the same thing to the Leafs. They do the same thing to the Blue Jays. They just won't be true blue and just root for their team. It's like you got to see them do something well before you'll get up off your seat or start cheering or something like that. No, screw that. We got to help them because we're part of their advantage. And we're not a part of their advantage right now. We're not helping them as fans. Nobody will say this, pundits, the media, the players, nobody will say this, but this is real. And this is something on the down low, that the fans are hurting the team at home games. They really are. And once again, at the beginning of the third quarter, not that we did horrible at the third quarter when it started, nobody's in their seats. And there's nobody in the arena watching the game. And it's like a vacuum. It's like a sound vacuum. It's an energy vacuum. There's a lot of emptiness in the arena in the lower bowl because all these jackasses are in their little luxury suite inside having cocktails. And before the halftime's over, and they should be back in their seats ready to cheer the third quarter. And they're not there. You're not there for the team, is what I'm saying to the Raptors crowd that's going to the games. And I can't go to every single game. I have a perfect record this year so far. I've been to 3 games this year, and every single game they've won. 2 of them were in the preseason, and then one of them was that 1-point win against Orlando. And this is just not acceptable. We have to be a better home court crowd. We have to be louder, and we have to make them have a hard time. Marcus Smart killed us at some point last night with his threes. We should not be letting Marcus Smart kill us. We have taller defenders that can run all over him. We've held them to 0 points this year in other games. There's no way that Marcus Smart should be doing that kind of stuff to us. He's a shorter player, and we have length. And there were a lot of different factors involved in last night. I didn't like the way that Nick Nurse was rotating. There were other problems with different people that were out on the court that didn't step up. Like, Svi is really slumping to me. I'm not happy with Svi Mahalik right now at all. The last couple games, he's missed way too many open shots. He's just dragging us down in some ways. Like, when he misses his shots, he needs to be money, first of all. He needs to be money because that's what he does. He's a shooter. He's a three-point shooter. He's got the technique. He's got the mechanics. Every single one of those shots would be going in, Svi Mahalik. I don't know what's going on with you, man. If you need more gym time or more shots, or just get your head out of your ass, but you need to make your shots. You need to make all of your shots because they're at a premium. And, once again, our bench doesn't do jack shit. And there's huge problems with the bench. We have no scoring off the bench, and we're relying way too much on our main scorers to do something. That's why people are going to bash Pascal today. But Pascal can't do it all. And honestly, he did miss some open shots that he should have hit last night late in the game that would have helped us with momentum. And that's disappointing. And I will say that that's a part of what made us lose last night is we missed open shots when we should have been making them late to try and get back in this game. And, you couple all this stuff into one thing and we lose, whether it's a lukewarm crowd, whether it's Scott Foster and his agenda of giving more fouls to the Celtics, getting them on the line, or us playing like shit and not hitting open shots, just looking like garbage in general on the court. And the injuries are another factor that not having key guys and important guys really messes up. Like Gary Trent is super important. Kem Birch is super important. OG Anunoby is super important. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. I know I'm going a little early. I just want to get this out of the way. I hate getting up and feeling like this, and I don't want to think about this all day. I want to just talk about the Celtics game right now and get it over and done with. That's what I'm saying. All right, Darren, woo, fans need to be won over. I know. I hate that. And I understand that. I understand it's always been this way. I remember when I was working in the arena, how this used to be and how frustrated I used to get. And that's when we had Vince Carter and we were doing really good at different times. Even when we were a playoff team, this was a problem that they'd only buy in and cheer for the team when they felt good about them having a good chance to win. If the fans come to the arena and they feel like they may not win, they won't cheer them wholeheartedly. And I hate that about Toronto fans. It's just a sad thing that they only buy into winners. And I want them to be more, I will cheer this team no matter what. It's the Leafs. The Leafs have ruined sports fans in this city for so long now, and that's part of it. All right, let's keep going. I'm a fun guy. Welcome. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Scotty is extremely fun to watch. That's the only thing probably still drawing fans. Siakam's return has distaste in fans, bro. Trust me. I know, man, and I understand why they're turning on him. And listen, I'll defend him, like I said, for the rest of the year. It's going to be tough at times, especially if he's going to miss open threes late in the game. He was 0 for 4 at the three-point line last night. That's no good. There's a lot of problems here. And yes, I think Scotty is one of the main draws for this team too. Different guys like him and Delano, Yuta, those guys are exciting. People will come to watch those guys play. But yeah, it's tough. It's going to be hard to defend Pascal if he doesn't start doing certain things for us. And the things that we really want from him right now are to be clutch, are to be a superstar and take over the game and win the game. And in some ways, their superstars weren't doing it either last night. Like Tatum was awful last night and Brown wasn't that good. And that sucks because they didn't have very good games and we still lost to them by 12. That's really not good in some ways because we should have won this game. This game was there for the taking. We just didn't shoot well enough and we didn't play well enough. And that's sad because, the effort was there. There was a lot of good things that we did do. Nick Nurse was pleased with how they played for the most part. They just didn't win. And, he might have chalked that up to, like, I just didn't have the personnel last night. I had to play a lot of guys that I normally wouldn't play. I mean, Bonga got some run. Champagne was out there for a bit. And this is not our normal rotation and roster for this year. And that's part of the reason why we lost. is that I didn't have all my weapons. And Nick Nurse was not negative about this game last night. And Fred definitely alluded to the fact that it was the referees being involved and stuff like that, and that he didn't want to get fined. But if we wanted to talk about it or write about it this morning, he'd fully endorse anybody saying something about how bad it was, because it was bad. And by halftime, we had only shot like 7 free throws, and they'd already shot over 30 or something like that. That's a boost right off the start. That's them trying to push them up. And then even in the second half, they try to even the fouls out, but they even them out with really shitty little stupid fouls where we don't get any shots or anything like that on Celtics. They do that. They try and even them out a little bit more to make it look better than it did, because it looked really bad. It was like ×2 for them all over the place on that. All right, Darren, good morning. Only saw the first half today. Too many injuries. Fungi. Yeah. There's the injuries are definitely hurting us. We don't have depth. This whole thing about Goran leaving all of a sudden yesterday is very interesting. He's not coming back, y'all. Nick Nurse has said it was nice coaching Goran. He's a great character guy. He's a nice guy. I love coaching him, but he's gone. He's left. He's gone back to Slovenia. He did basically what I thought he was going to do anyway, is just not show up and report. So I got to give him credit. He came to the team. He ran around with us for a month or so, and now he's gone. He's not going to come back. We're either going to trade him or he's just going to run his contract out in Europe. He just doesn't want to be here with us. And I understand why. But in some ways, to me, it's also like, geez, wouldn't you like to be paid $19 million to just go home? It's kind of annoying in a way, because we would really like to have him maybe in some ways as a backup in some ways, and also to help out as a mentor and a leader on this team, because obviously we need leadership. We need somebody to do that, but he doesn't like the way we're allowing him. Some people are saying it's personal or anything. It's just him going home, guys. Come on. You know that it's probably not anything major. It's just that he's like, you know what? I'd respectfully like to go home. You guys aren't going to play me. I don't want to be here if I'm not going to get played. And that's probably how it went down. And the way that Nick Nurse said it was like, it was nice coaching him. Means he's not coming back. He's not going to come back. We're not going to see him in a Raptor jersey ever again. And in some ways, I'm okay with that. And in some ways, I'm like, what an asshole, like in some ways. But also, you know what? He was professional. He gave it a shot. He came to Toronto and he gave it a try. It's not going to work out. And that's fine. Honestly, I knew it wouldn't. He didn't fit with our roster and what we're trying to do. And I said to myself in the offseason, if he shows up, who cares? If he plays, who cares? If he leaves, who cares? It's all the same. So it's just basically like that. No Gary, no OG. Defense is weak. Yeah, these guys are really good defenders. Getting at guys, especially guys. We did good against Tatum. We did good against Brown for the most part. We held the Celtics. We were doing good on defense last night in a lot of ways. Now, once again, second chance shots killed us at times, where they would shoot, miss, and we wouldn't secure the rebound, and then they'd get another shot and beat us. Or, there's just dumb stuff happening last night. We were missing shots we had no business missing. Like Svi's guilty, Pascal's guilty. Fred was great last night. Honestly, Fred was the only guy that I really love in a lot of ways. And Scotty hitting those 4 threes. One of them looked like he shouldn't even shot, but he made it. Like the one where he did a little step, and then he hit it. It's beautiful stuff. And I love seeing Scotty start to unlock more of his game. And I'm serious, y'all. This is what I've been seeing all along. He can hit the 3 and he can back guys down and just throw the ball in over them. This is a Kawhi Leonard type player. He's going to show it more and more as we get going. I just don't want him to feel like this culture of losing is how we are going to go, though. He really can't get used to this. They've really got to figure out what that formula to win every game is. And every game is different. Some different things have to be done in different ways. And Scotty's the one who can variate on that kind of stuff. Like Fred's already doing that kind of stuff, whether it's he needs to shoot or he needs to get other guys involved or he needs to rebound. Like Fred's coming in there and getting more rebounds when he has to. Pascal needs to do more of that, be more effective. And Scotty needs to pick his spots and figure out what he can do to help the most. And right now, I think what Scotty could do to help the most is score, because we need scoring. And like in some ways, it kind of showed last night that Scotty's going to be a more clutch player than Pascal is. That Scotty's going to be the guy we can depend on to make sure he gets a basket because he has certain tools that get him a higher percentage shot. And right now, Pascal's a little spinning around and getting to the basket and laying it in. He's getting hit and he's not making it and he's not getting a call. So I'd much rather have Scotty back somebody down and bull his way and just shoot over somebody. And honestly, his shot percentage is better. And I would like to see him rise into that role faster. Like if everybody's saying what they're saying, Pascal Siakam is not a main superstar. It's not a number one. Scotty could be that number one, and Pascal can be his Pippen. He's going to have to wait, though, for Scotty to develop to be that guy. And I don't know if we're going to have that kind of time with the timeline and stuff like that, because I think people's patience with Pascal is going to run out. And unfortunately, we won't get it to line up like that. Let's think about that for a second. Because in the early 2000s, we had Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter, and that was looking like a great Batman and Robin. And that was something we would like to see, maybe possibly with Scotty and Pascal or Scotty and OG. And we need to let them have time to get to that point, to develop to that point. And it may be that Pascal is going to get his shot to try and be the man and be the clutch guy to carry us. But if he just can't do it, then he's got to be relegated to that second banana. And it's looking like the way things are naturally going to go are Scotty's going to develop into an unstoppable guy, and he'll be that guy for us. It's just we may be in this period of time where Pascal has to be our clutch guy, our main guy, and it's going to be kind of inconsistent just because of the nature of his game. And it sucks. It's going to be tough. And I'm really, really worried that part of what happens with the refs when they do this to us is it makes players on our team not want to play here. Like when people were saying people don't want to play in Toronto, it's not necessarily code about the weather or the taxes. It's code about the refs, that people don't want to play for Toronto because we get bias against us, that we don't get foul calls, that you got to work that much harder, that you got to take that much more physicality playing for Toronto. And some of the players in the NBA don't want to take the hard way. They want to go the easy way. And the hard ways can be sometimes in Toronto is a hard way because you got to overcome a lot. And that's why sometimes when people say, oh, people don't want to play in Toronto, it's because of things like that they can see the bias from the inside and being on the court. And Scotty could be getting frustrated from that in some ways. And then the Lakers come along and say, hey, Scotty, we get favoritism in the calls. Come and play for us. That kind of crap. That's how they lure people out of here. It sucks. You can tell that that's what's happening. And I don't want that to happen with Scotty. I want him to take to this city, take to this team and stay here because he is a great future for us if he stays here. But this is going to be a big problem. This is going to be something down the road that everybody in the world in the NBA is going to be trying to lure him out of here and do everything they can. I hope he sticks with us. He stays loyal and we give him the max money every single time because he's worth it and we need to. We need to do that. We need to lock him down, Masai. He needs to be your priority going forward because he's the future. He's the guy who can make these games turn into W's. And I don't know if it's the guys that we have in the batch before. Fred's great. Fred can do so much. He can hit a couple of clutch shots. But these guys aren't showing that they're closers. They're not showing that they're the guys that will do everything it takes to win at the end of the game or if they're capable of it. Because this is the thing we got to remember, too. Fred and Pascal are already playing out of their minds higher than they were supposed to. And I like to think that their ceiling's a bit higher, but in some ways it isn't much higher. It's more higher just in tangibles and learning leadership and getting more savvy as veterans and not necessarily in what their game is that they've shown already. And honestly, I understand why people are pissed at Pascal. I understand why people want to get him traded because he looks like a failure out there. But in some ways, you have to fail to succeed. And I'm like I said, I'm going to give him the luxury of having the whole year before I'm like, yeah, let's trade him. Let's get him out of here. But the writing's on the wall. Scotty's the future. And Pascal, if he wants to be a second banana, that might work out really well. That could work really well, actually. All right, let's keep going. All right, you guys are writing a lot. I love this. It's just the two of you. I love it. All right, I'm a fun guy. I love you, Raptor Freak, but I'm telling you, Raptors will continue to fail with Siakam. This is Tampa Raptors when Siakam is here. It's not as simple as that because he does do a lot of good things for us. It's just that we put so much of the responsibility as a figurehead for this team on him. And he has glaring mistakes. He has glaring open missed shots. And they make, like, when he missed that 3-pointer late in the game that was wide open, I was like, oh my God, Siakam, I can already hear the people complaining about you tomorrow because you missed this shot, because you just didn't show up, because you couldn't put your will on the game. And part of it is like, listen, the refs with the fouls and the refs with the stoppages of play. Like that one point, we wanted to get out and run. We were ready to inbounds the ball, and the ref held the ball and made the guy come out and mop the floor real quick. This is really important, little subtle shit that the refs manipulate the game with. That's the same thing with the jump balls. It's the same thing with the reviewing. I've never seen so many stoppages in play as there is in the NBA. There's so many different reasons why they can stop play for like 5 minutes, and it just ruins the rhythm. It ruins the flow of the game. The game used to have runs up and down the court where you could have actual runs. There's no more runs anymore because as soon as you get a basket, the other team can call a timeout. And they get the timeouts, there's other ways to kill our runs with the refs without even the team having to pay a timeout. They can kill a run by the refs doing different things to kill a run. And they do that. And they do it to us. And I'm sick of it. I hate that. If there's one thing that is going in the wrong direction, it's how many times they stop play for stupid various bullshit. And it's hurting the flow of the game. It's hurting the natural thing about basketball. The reason why you get on the blacktop and you play a pickup game with friends is it goes back and forth and you get a chance to get a chance right back at them. But the way that they're controlling and manipulating the game with stoppages in the game is messing things up. It's messing a team up from having rhythm. And this is what I'm saying. If to a very astute NBA viewer, you can watch the game and see when the Raptors are about to get good momentum and you see either the other coach calls a timeout, it kills the momentum. That's normal. That's supposed to happen. But watch and see if a ref kills our momentum somehow with calling a stoppage of play or asking the floor crew to mop up the floor all of a sudden when we're supposed to be getting an offensive transition and they're allowing the Celtics to get back and set up in defense. This is bullshit when they do stuff like that. This is absolute bullshit, and that's part of how they're manipulating the game. But once again, this has been always there. We have to be better as a team to overcome that, and we're not that good as a team right now. We're not efficient on our offense, and we're not able to overcome leads and win games like we have in the past. It's all part of the growing pains of being a better team again, is we're going to have to learn all this stuff and what the formula is to add up to a W again. And it sucks. It sucks. This was a trap game. We came back from the road trip. They scheduled it that way so that Boston would have an easier time in the game against us. And then they sent Scott Foster to Toronto yesterday. And that was very on purpose. And he had a duty. And he did it. He did exactly what he was going to do. And he did it right in front of all of us. And I knew what he was going to do before we started the game. He's going to double up their free throw shots compared to ours. And he did. He did exactly that. All right, let's keep going. Fred VanVleet and P are not the problem. No Birch floaters, no OG and Gary Trent Jr. threes, 29 points featuring for the Celtics. I'm not sure what that says, Darren, but Birch, OG, and Gary Trent Jr. have been great offensive weapons for us at times. They've been able to hit shots when they're open. So, yeah, not having them is a huge part. Fred VanVleet is certainly not the problem. He's part of our future. I believe that too. I don't think any of these guys really are the problem. The problem is just time and development. The problem is just allowing these guys to fail for a while until we get success. And I think, like I said, our society is so instant gratification now that when we go through these bumps in the road, they're natural and normal. We make a big deal out of them and we overreact. We've got to actually allow them some room for error. We've got to allow them to be able to be a bad team for a while because that's just the natural progression of what's happened with us since the championship. We've lost teammates, good players each year. We've lost 2 key guys every summer since the championship. And that is hard to make up for. And we're realizing a lot of the intangibles that Kyle Lowry brought to this team, even after a lot of those guys left, that winning swagger, that winning attitude, the fact that he can get charges We can't get charges anymore. Fred tried to take a charge last night. They wouldn't give it to him. So we can't get charges anymore. That just shows how much respect Kyle Lowry had from the referees, that they would give him that all the time. And we just don't have it. Yeah, this is interesting. I wanted to talk about this, Darren. The Raptors need a center. And now that Goran's gone, does that mean we have a roster spot open? And that maybe like that was part of the reason why he left, is that he saw that we needed more size, and he knew that he was taking up a spot on our roster that maybe we could be using to help ourselves. I saw Reggie Perry play yesterday again, and he played pretty good against for the 905 against the Bluecoats. But they lost again. They got routed in the beginning. They came back. They made it close. They were doing okay for a while there. David Johnson was playing much better. Reggie Perry had a great game. Like, he got 28 points, 17 rebounds or something like that. He was showing a little bit of everything. And that's why I think that he's the guy. Like, easy and quick. He's in our system. Just bring him up just for a little bit more beef up front. And yeah, if Goran's gone, maybe that spot needs to be Reggie Perry's. Because the thing about Reggie Perry also is last year he played a lot on the Nets, on the main roster. So he has NBA experience, and he was playing for the Brooklyn Nets last year many games because they had a lot of injuries last year. Remember? I mean, Harden and Irvin and different people were out all the time. So Reggie Perry is NBA experienced already. He has 1 year under his belt, and he won't stick out too much, and he'd be easy, quick 5 fouls too. And he's quick enough and he's big enough. I think he can do it. So hopefully that's what happens in the next day or so. I mean, we've got a 7-game homestand we're starting right now. We're going to be in town for like 2.5 weeks. They're going to be in Toronto. Hopefully we can fix a lot of stuff and do really well. But this Memphis game tomorrow is going to be tough because they're going to be mad at us for beating them on their home court. And we're just struggling really bad. We're having a hard time. If our injury report gets better and better, that'll help for sure. Boucher did not play, so trade probably coming too. No, Boucher didn't play last night because Nick Nurse wanted to send him a message about trying to play better and harder. And I understand why he did it. I don't like that he did it in this game because honestly, we had so many injuries. We honestly needed him, and there were a lot of different things he could have done to help us last night. I kind of question that timing of that decision to do that by Nick Nurse. That kind of pissed me off. It's like, you need to be playing Chris too, because obviously you need him because you're playing Bonga, you're playing Champagny. You know, he's better than those guys. He should be out there, and he's punishing him. He is punishing him for not trying hard enough or not doing enough, but it's not because he wants to trade him. In fact, after the game, he said that he's just trying to send him a message to try a little harder, is what he's saying. And you know, I don't agree with it totally. I think that he's already been limiting his minutes so much it's tough. And that in a game like yesterday, we should have probably used him. But that's Nick Nurse's choice as a coach. And that was one of the things I think that wasn't that good. I don't think there is a trade for Boucher coming up yet. I mean, who knows what trades are going to happen or what, you know. And I found out yesterday that Milwaukee Bucks signed DeMarcus Cousins to center for the rest of the season. So this is the thing. There's players out there and there's things to do. Not that we want DeMarcus, because DeMarcus is kind of a problem in some ways. But that's the thing. Like, the other teams are seeing the physicality and the way that things are going, and they're stocking up. Milwaukee said, okay, well, we need to get another center. And they went and got DeMarcus Cousins yesterday. So what are you going to do, Masai? What are you going to do, Bobby? Because we need some stuff done here also. All right, let's keep going. Scotty at some point will win us a game. He's going to. Oh, yeah. He's got to figure out that he has more power than he's exerting on the court, that he needs to hone his energy and his power to influence the game. And the more he does that in the different ways he can, the nastier he's going to get. It's just going to start happening. Right now, we're just seeing the little variety pack of the different things he can do, but not really with intention or to really influence the game yet. It's just kind of, I'm here and I'm adding. But if he gets the eye of the tiger and he decides, I'm going to start winning games and this is how I can do it, look out, NBA, because I think that he'll be that guy. Seriously, I think that his clutch will be pretty good, especially if he's able to make shots like close to the basket in clutch situations. Like, if he's able to physically get down near the basket and just make that baby hook, that's money. That's money. Because even if he doesn't make it, he's really good at rebounding his own shot and putting it back. So, okay, let's see. Trade incoming. P needs mid-range, not time clock eater. I still don't like how they set up Fred and Pascal, how long they take. I don't like when we reset our offense because sometimes I feel like, and I see Malachi do this last night too, that we let the team get back set on their defense. Like there's a little split second of a moment where they're off and they're not guarding us right, where you could capitalize, but instead you're holding the ball at the top of the court and dribbling and waiting to set your offense. Meanwhile, you're letting them set their defense when you could have picked them apart just then. You could have saw somebody open. You could have saw something because I see it. I see it. I'm like, Malachi, do something right now. Don't just hold the ball and set up your offense. Do something right this second because they just fucked up. And I can see that you can make a shot or this can be happen right there. But no, they don't do anything. They hold off and they wait, and that lets the team get back there. And then you have to do all this work to beat the defense again. That's what they got to do. They got to realize when they've beaten the defense and capitalize and take advantage of those moments. And they're not always seeing them right now. There's a lot of moments where they could be taking advantage and they're not. And it's not just like the missed passes and not being ready and stuff like that, because that happened a little bit last night too. Was that there was like some passing issues, but there was a lot of good passing too. Let's see. Pascal and Scotty teasing us with passes and cuts. They are playing really well off of each other and different stuff. That's what we need more of. I mean, the Celtics had a really scrappy plan last night, and it was really to fuck up Pascal. They were all over Pascal. They were doubling him. They were just keeping him really contained as much as they can. And that was a huge part of their success last night. And part of the reason why Pascal looks so bad is that other teams really do on their scouting reports, when they come in to play us, they key on Pascal and they try and stop him. And that's basically what's happening here, is that they're trying to stop him. And he looks worse because of the double teams and different things like that. So there's a 2-man game in P and Scotty for sure. I love it. Yeah, we don't have a closer right now, but we could have a closer. We have prospective possible closers. Like, I wish it was just Pascal. I wish it could be somebody like OG Anunoby or something like that. But these guys still haven't stepped up and shown that completely yet, that they're the kind of superstar that will take over a game, score a bunch of points at the end of the game to win the game. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about a closer, somebody that consistently scores in crunch time at the end and helps guide us to a win by scoring enough points. And we don't have that right now. We need that so bad. And it's the person is on our team right now. It's just that they've got to get better and do play better. So let's keep going. Yeah, the free throws, 29 points by Celtics. That's a huge difference. We only lost by 12. The stats overall were very even. Like, they shot pretty bad too for most of the game, just like us. But that is really a huge cushion. That is what we're fighting against. We're fighting against not just their team, but also the cushion that the refs give them. Because they gave them those free throws real early. They were bragging about how they made 17 straight free throws in the first half or something like that. That's because the refs were giving you guys shots, like giving you free points. And some of them were late calls. Like, they would see if the ball would go in, and then they put Tatum on the line. They see that it wouldn't go in, and then they whistle and say, he's on the line. That's what I'm saying. They're making sure that the Celtics put points on the board. That's the ref manipulation. And even that whole thing I was talking about with Fred at the halftime with the foul at the three-point line, where he should have went to the free throw line for 3 shots at the end of the half. But Scott Foster waved it off because, you know what, partly, and this is why, I think, is because Scott Foster bets on NBA games. He's part of the Tim Donaghy scandal, and he's probably looking at the margins and trying to help the team with what he's bet on. He might have bet that the Celtics should be ahead at the halftime last night, and he had to make sure that they were ahead. They were only up by 3, and if Fred had gone on the free throw line, that might have fucked up his bet. So he's like, no, you don't get free throw shots at this point. I don't trust the NBA that much. I really believe Scott Foster bets on the games and that he manipulates the point margin for his own financial gain through illegal bookies that he's using. This has all been outlined and talked about by Tim Donaghy. This is stuff that these refs do to make more money on the side. They make the money from being a ref, working for the NBA, but then they make extra money from gambling on the games and influencing how they end up. This is the truth. This has been happening for years. And Scott Foster was doing that shit last night. I know he was. I know deep down in my heart, I know he was. And if he wasn't and I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. There's just too much evidence in the past of your manipulation in the game in different ways. And Tim Donaghy says you're the ringleader of it in the NBA. I believe Tim Donaghy, because sometimes a whistleblower gets quieted and sent away and tries to get poo-pooed and minutized, made him smaller, because they don't want the truth to be out there for real. They want to make him look like the one bad apple that was the only one who was doing it, but he's not. And the worst one is Scott Foster. And he was involved in our game last night. And I really believe that. These younger refs, I'm not sure about them, because there's a lot of younger refs and they seem like they're legit. But the older refs, like Scott Foster, he is somebody who gambles on the games. I'm absolutely positive about this, that if Tim Donaghy's telling the truth, Scott Foster is incriminated. So, all right, let's keep going. They're not a bad team. Yeah, I don't believe the Raptors are a bad team. It's just we're trying to figure it out, man. This is such a hard time. We had some success early on. People thought, well, maybe this is how it'll go. Well, now we're having the rough patch, and we're starting to see some of the toughness. This homestand will be very interesting to see how well we do by the end of it. We really need to start getting some home wins and start winning, because home is where we're supposed to win. If we have to go on the road to win games, that's really bad. But, it's good that we're a good road team, but our home court needs to be much better advantage, and it needs to be defended better. That really is a mentality that Fred needs to get across to the young guys, is that this is our home court. We need to defend the North. We defend the North. We got to defend our building. We got to do it for our fans. No, you can't wait for the fans to cheer you, because they're obviously not going to cheer you until you start doing well. So you've got to win your crowd over. But this is the thing. Our crowd is more likely to help the other team right now, because the other team knows that they can shut them up and make them feel like uneasy. And that's what they're doing. Marcus Smart loves that. He came out there and hit those threes, and he had felt like so powerful over us, so powerful over the citizens of Toronto, because they all shut up. Like, he's that powerful. I can hit this three and I'll shut this crowd up. And he gets an ego boost and they feel good. Why are we giving that to him? Y'all need to be crazy, rabid, loud fans no matter what. It's like we're submissive. We're not being tough. We're not being good fans. We need to be crazy. We need to be more like Philadelphia fans. We need to be more like Boston fans, just maniacal and cheering for a team that's absolutely shit too. Yeah. And that, because we can't let Marcus Smart shut us up. He gets an ego boost and he gets going. He starts hitting late threes and we lose. That's what I'm saying. The crowd needs to help. They really do need to help. We do better on fast breaks and quick offense. The set offense only works for a few plays. Yeah, we don't want to play half court. I don't understand why they take so long to set up the offense. Like, Fred's up there pointing around. He takes like 8 to 10 seconds of the shot clock just standing at the top looking, and nobody's moving. So it's like you're not trying to beat your defense. You need to take that 24-second clock and try and break down and dismantle the other team's defense. And if you're wasting time just standing there, I'm going to beat him one-on-one on a play going to the basket, that's pretty much what we know you're going to do when you're at the top of the key, Fred. So I'd much rather us get the offense more engaged with lots of passing and stuff like that. And it's true. Our transition game is awesome. Like, we were great in transition last night. We had good transition buckets. We were fine in transition last night. And that was part of what was making up for the free throw imbalance, was the fact that we could get in transition off turnovers and do a couple things like that. But it was really tough. I mean, honestly, the trend, we don't like half court right now because our offense isn't very good. And we're having a hard time beating other teams' defenses, partly because we don't see the opportunities that are there. All right, I can see Gary as a closer at some point. Yeah, I'd love that too. Gary is very clutch in some ways. I mean, it's just about being more consistent. And, there's going to be nights where Gary's just doesn't have it. That's unfortunately true. And that's true for any player, that some nights nobody's like that consistent anymore on our team. We really need people to be more consistent, but it's just not happening right now. There's ups and downs with everybody. But yeah, Gary would be great. I'd love for any of these guys to step. It's just somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. And some nights Fred does it. And he's the one I think Fred's the most clutch on our team right now. If we had to do a clutch ratings and a crunch time and him trying to get us going, I think Fred is number one on this list right now. Kenny, good morning, man. Glad to see you even on a loss. Because we don't have a 5, OG and Gary Trent Jr. have to be healthy and performing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're realizing like how bad our defense is without OG. We haven't seen him since before Golden State. We haven't played with him for a while now, and it sucks. Once he gets back, it's going to be a huge upgrade. And it may be that we win a lot more once OG's back. Like, this may be part of it, is that OG is such a crucial two-way player for us in different ways that we've really missed him more than we realize. Not to mention Cam. And honestly, Cam, that was a poor decision to wear a green jumpsuit yesterday, or like tracksuit yesterday. No, man, why are you doing, man? Like, they kept showing the Raptor bench and people were like, why is he wearing green, man? What is that? Like, there was a lot of weird stuff yesterday with all the injuries, guys out, Goran leaving all of a sudden, and just the turmoil. And then seeing Scott Foster, I was like, man, things aren't good right now on the team. Things are not good in Toronto right now. All right, let's keep going. I'm a fun guy. Not Scott himself, but family members and friends probably bet and share with him. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that may be the way he does it. There's different ways they do it. But honestly, they do actually do it themselves, the refs. Because this is the thing. There's a group of them, and they communicate, and they bet on each other's games. They pool together. So it's like Scott Foster will be in on with so-and-so other refs that are involved in the NBA, and they're doing different games. So they'll bet on multiple games to try and get them all. And they're so like accurate. They get like 90% of their bets. So they win all the time. That's extra income. That's how these guys supplement their income. They bet on these games on the down low. It's dirty as fuck, and they manipulate the point margins. Like, they'll even figure out the point margins, and at the end of the game, they'll do fishy things like give extra free throws all of a sudden to somebody just to try and cover the spread that they have, or that's crucial to them in their bet. It's really fucked up. Like, it's all in the Tim Donaghy book and the things that he's been saying, and they poo-poo it, and they told him to just go away, and they said he was the only one who was doing it. That's bullshit. Because he's a second banana. He's not smart enough to do all that shit on his own. He was like a guy who was underneath those guys, the main guys like Scott Foster that were doing it, and he was just doing it on the sly. And I bet Scott Foster is egotistical and like, I got away with this, the NBA has my back, that he's continued to do it to this day. That even a decade later, after the Donaghy scandal, that he has the audacity and the balls to continue to do it. I'm sure he does. And that's part of the reason why these guys have an ego in the COD complex that they have, is because they're doing shit like this. And it's messed up. But it could be he's doing it through his family. You're right, fun guy. But I think that they're just doing it straight up because they do it so often, and they're on the road. And like, this is the thing Donaghy talked about, is that these refs that are doing it, they call after the game and they make sure that they talk about how it went and all the payouts and stuff like that. This is all in Donaghy's book and on the Whistleblower podcast. I highly recommend the Whistleblower podcast. I don't know if they took it down. It was up for a long time, but I know that people were coming after it and that it disappeared off there. But if you can find the Whistleblower podcast, it will detail everything I'm talking about right now with Scott Foster and Tim Donaghy and the other refs in the league, and how they were gambling and betting and influencing games and doing things like that. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Geez, so many phantom calls last night, and Pascal and Barnes being smacked at the rim and jerseys being held down that I could see with no calls. Yeah, it's part of it. It's part of it. They're going to help the Celtics because the NBA wants them to win. By giving them double the free throw shots compared to our free throw shots, and that's a huge cushion. That's a huge cushion right there. Okay, guys, this is about 47 minutes in. I don't want to go too long. This sucks. I hate losing. We've just got to keep going to the drawing board. Nick Nurse wasn't upset with the team because he knows it wasn't totally their fault last night. That's the thing. He can't be mad at his guys because they gave a good effort for the most part last night. It just wasn't there. Maybe it wasn't, or that we had enough talent compared to them with guys being injured, or, he understand that the refs were influencing things and that they were trying their hardest, and there wasn't a damn thing they could do against Scott Foster and his agenda. So it's a lot of different things there. And it's also hard with that crowd when they're so like inconsistent and like with their cheering, and they're kind of feeling unconfident. It really does feed into the energy of the building. The crowd feels unconfident, and then the players are shooting unconfident and they're missing shots. That's why we need to have the confidence in our crowd, is because our confidence feeds their confidence, and our not having confidence feeds them not having confidence. So that's why I feel, as a fan, if you go to the game, just be loud no matter what. And I know that some people are still doing that, but as the crowd as a whole yesterday was garbage. It was very quiet for most of the game, and did not help the team win in crucial time in the third and fourth quarter when they could have been really loud and made it harder for the Celtics to score. They could have been way louder and made it harder for the Celtics to score. That is our home court advantage, and it's missing while this team is middling. And it's going to be like this year, unfortunately, until they show that they're a winning team again. Toronto fans will not buy into them. They'll just be like fickle, fake-ass fans, and they'll walk away from the team. Because I'm in here for the long haul. I'm going to do this every morning. I don't give a shit. They could lose all the rest of their games, and I'll come in every morning, and I'll do an autopsy on the cadaver every single morning because I don't care. I love this team. I'm ride or die. I rode or die through the 90s with them when they were winning 20 games a season. I don't give a shit. This is great. This is fun because I get to see these young guys develop and play good, and they're entertaining. And I'd love for us to win, but if we don't win, I'm still sticking with them. I'm not like these other people. They're going to be like, you know what? I don't want to have anything to do with this because they're losers. They're 9-12. No, that's not me. I'm going to be there, and I know you guys are too. All right, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for being here. I know it's hard to be here on a morning like this. And it's Monday and there's snow on the ground and it's still November, But you know what? Let's look at the things in life that are positive and bright and good in our lives and focus on those and just have some good gratitude no matter what. I'm glad that I have a team in my hometown to root for, that the Toronto Raptors exist. I have a lot of gratitude towards that. They've given me something to really enjoy and to love in my life. And I don't take that lightly. So let's keep going, guys. Click 2 a.m. Good morning. I'm still watching games regardless. The Pascal thing is pissing me off. I know, man. I know. Pascal pisses me off himself. The haters piss me off. The trade talk pisses me off. But it is just a part of it all. And it's just how it is. And unfortunately, Pascal, he's shown his ass and he's not been there for us when we needed him at times. And that's why people are all over him. People don't like failure. They see him failing and they don't want to associate with it. So they're like, get it away from me. All right. Darren said it right there. Let's go, Raptors. Let's beat Memphis for the second time tomorrow. We can get these small victories still this season. And we need to protect our home court. This starts today. No more of this bullshit. Teams coming to Toronto and beating us on our home court. I'm sick of this shit. We've won twice on our home court so far this season, and I was at one of those games. I don't want to have to go to more games just so we can start winning again because I don't got no money. I'm very poor right now. But you know what? Hopefully we can get this home streak going right now, starting today. I'm sick of the losing. All right, let's go. Raptors Nation, stay proud and stay with them. Don't give up because I know that a lot of people are going to give up now and we can be the real ones. So stick with them, all right?